Hello and welcome to this recording of the Partners 2020 Ask the Experts Industry Webinar for Dentistry. This session was hosted by our careers consultant Kate Rothery, and she was joined by our guests Dr. Nicola Parten, Dental Associate at Amble Dental Practice, and Dr. Charlotte Hope, Enterprise Advisor at the Newcastle University Careers Service. This session will start off with a short presentation provided by Nicola to tell you a little bit more about herself, her time at university, and her career to date, before we join Charlotte, our Enterprise Advisor, to tell you a little bit more about how enterprising and innovation is vital to dental practice and how the Newcastle University Careers Service can support you with this. We'll then move on to a question and answer session with some that have been provided by students who were able to attend the session live and those who were able to submit questions prior. Without any further ado, we're going to hand over to Nicola to tell you a little bit more about herself in her presentation.
So I'm going to be talking a little bit about dentistry. As Kate said, my name is Nicola and I graduated from Newcastle, as you'll hear about. So if you've got any questions or anything, just let me know. And we're going to be talking as part of the Partners sort of scheme. So looking at me sort of from the start, I'm originally from Great Ayton in North Yorkshire, which isn't very far away. So it's about 50 minutes away. So that was one of the things that attracted me to Newcastle as well. It wasn't too far away from home, so that was good. Far enough away, but still I can get back easily. Came to Newcastle University in 2011, which seems like a long time ago now, but when you think about it, it doesn't. But yeah, I absolutely loved my time there. Started in 2011. Graduated in 2016 and got a merit in clinical and a merit in academic dentistry. So that's basically dependent on how you perform throughout the 5 years and also how you perform in your examinations, both academically and sort of with your clinical work. And then I was also awarded the Nick Jackson Prize, the most promising Newcastle undergraduate, which was lovely as well. From then, I went on to do general professional training. So as soon as you graduate as a dentist, you go into foundation training, which can either be a year in general practice, or they do a certain number of these general professional trainee posts. So I think there's 36 in the country. There's 12 in Newcastle, some in Leeds and some in Wales, and basically you rotate in between general practice and also the dental hospital. So my sort of rotation was I was working for a week in a high needs dental practice in Middlesbrough, and then I rotated through the different specialties in Newcastle. So that included peds, oral surgery, restorative, and then also some time on sedation, oral medicine, and sort of the smaller specialties. It was a 2-year program rather than sort of just the 1 year that you would do if you were going just for general dental care, but I really enjoyed it because it meant that I could go through all the different specialties, find out exactly what I liked, and from this I found that I really enjoyed oral surgery. So the year after, during that year, I did my MFDS, which is basically a set of exams that you can take to become a member of a Royal College. It's quite popular and quite a lot of people do this. There's different colleges that you can become affiliated with, either Glasgow, Edinburgh or England, and it's just another sort of string to your bow, which is quite good to do during this time while all your knowledge is fresh from graduating as well. So following on from that, I became a dental core trainee, which I loved. It was a year in maxillofacial surgery at the RVI. So that's working alongside people who are duly qualified. So they've done dentistry and medicine in either order, and then to become a maxillofacial surgeon. So it's basically specialists of the head and neck. So we spent a year with them basically doing different forms of oral surgery, but then also facial trauma, so sort of fractured mandibles, fractured zygomas, and also a lot of oncology. It was a hard year because it's really been thrown in the deep end, more medical things, working in a hospital, doing night shifts on call, things like that, but it was really good year. And then from that now, I have a split job. So I work as an associate dentist in Amble Dental Care, which is in Northumberland. So it's a mixed NHS private practice, and it's a really lovely team I work with. So I'm really lucky to be with them. So that's great. And then I'm also an associate clinical lecturer on oral surgery in Newcastle, which again is great, working with mainly the 3rd and 4th years, teaching them simple and complex and surgical extractions and things. Slowed down a little bit at the moment with all of the COVID that's going on, but we are doing a lot of things remotely, so that's brilliant as well. I'm also doing further training myself, so I'm doing a master's, so it's a diploma in conscious sedation, and so that's been really good because I'm going to continue doing postgraduate courses as well. So looking a little bit at Newcastle University and the dental school itself. So first of all, it's got excellent facilities. Obviously, I've not been around many other dental schools, but from what I experienced, I found that the facilities were just brilliant. All the lecture theatres are great. Then we've also got things like the phantom heads that you can use. The clinics are really spacious, and there's always a lot of support. Not only the facilities that are great, but the staff as well. Staff are all really knowledgeable, really approachable. Lovely. Towards the end of the 5 years, they become more sort of friends, and especially as I've stayed there since graduating, they become friends and colleagues more than actual sort of teachers and things. So that's brilliant, and I think it's a real trait that Newcastle University has. There's lots of sporting things that you can do, so not only just within the university itself, but also the dental school has different sporting things that you can get into. So if you're wanting to sort of play more within the different courses, then we had a Newcastle dental netball team that we were part of, so that was really, really good. So I did that throughout the 5 years, and again, that's mixing with other people of the years, so that was brilliant. In fourth year, you've got the opportunity to go on something called an elective, so that's, you take 2 weeks or you can take longer into the summer, but the 2 weeks is off your the end of your term to basically go and do dentistry somewhere else. So you may decide that you want to continue to basically explore the specialties within the hospital, but a lot of people decide to go over to other places. So we went to Vietnam and spent 2 weeks doing dentistry over there, which was really, really good, really eye-opening, and we did learn quite a lot. And then the benefit of that is you're then on holiday. So we spent sort of the other 6 weeks exploring Vietnam, Thailand, other places like that. So that's really, really good. The inter-school activities that we do are brilliant. It will be similar in other schools, but basically dentistry is quite a good unit, and we have lots of different things. So go to other cities where there's other dental schools, and basically the BDA does a lot of things. So they have the BDSA, which is the British Dental Student Association. They organise sports days and different events, things like that. Sometimes they're spread over a weekend. It's really, really good because there's opportunity to mix with other people and just have a load of fun. So that's really good. Also, one of the main things is because you're in such a, like I say, dentistry is quite a unit, and you often work longer. You're often here for sort of longer terms and things like that. You do become very close to the people within dentistry. Meet a lot of people, and all of my best friends are mainly from dentistry now. Obviously we've got other friends as well, but the majority of them are dentists, and a lot of my friends, including myself, met their other halves at dental school, and it's the same with me, so I appreciate that. Other opportunities that I've experienced in dentistry, so since graduating, I've worked in 2 different practices. One is Select Dental Care in Middlesbrough. That was quite high needs, but it taught me a lot, which was brilliant. And now I'm at Amble Dental Care, which is again, it's like a mixture of private and NHS treatment, less high needs. So it's not patients that have got lots and lots of decay and you're needing to take teeth out here, there and everywhere, but it's more managing different aspects, which is good. I've been really, really lucky to do lots of academic ventures, which has been really good. I've been really well supported by Newcastle University and the staff. So I've been able to do multiple publications and presented at international conferences, and I know that me, either while I was at university or just graduated, wouldn't have been able to do that, but because I've had such good mentors and people close by from the university, I've been able to have the opportunity to do that, so that's been brilliant. Other things that I'm able to do as well with dentistry that you don't really envisage it when you think I'm training to be a dentist is teaching. So I do actually really enjoy teaching, and as we said, the dental students that I teach on oral surgery, it's really, really interesting because it keeps your knowledge up because you're constantly getting questions asked, and it's just a really nice way to split up your week as well. So when you're training to be a dentist, you think I'm going to end up being a dentist in dental practice, that's it, me. But actually there's lots of different things that you can do, and it's a really lovely career for that. So as I said, I split my time with teaching and I do enjoy that. Also during this sort of lockdown period, we've not been able to see our patients as much, so within practice we've actually been setting up webinars for patients and little videos and things for them to see and watch, because we're not there. A lot of patients are missing their checkup, so oral hygiene instruction we've been delivering remotely. Other things, we've been asking patients to ask questions if they want any more information on anything, and we've been providing webinars sort of over different formats, so that's been really, really good, and hopefully that's something that can continue after this as well. So outside of the surgery, I'm quite an active member of the British Dental Association, so this is basically dentists trade union, and it's really important that we're represented. They do a lot of things behind the scenes that we don't realise, but the BDA is definitely something that you should be supporting, and throughout university you'll see a little bit more and more as to what they do. I've been the secretary of the Northern Counties since 2018. I was probably the youngest member on there for when I started, and then went straight to kind of being the secretary, but I do enjoy it, which is good. We organise lots of different things. So there's educational events. So before everything with COVID-19, we were generally running an educational study club maybe once every couple of months. It was really well attended by about sort of 50 North East dentists. And again, this is something else that you can get involved in, which isn't just you and your surgery. It's really good for sort of socialising, mixing, and just learning new things. We also do sort of day-long educational, we've done things on a weekend, and then also we do social events. So generally we have an annual ball, so it's normally around February time. This year's was going to be March, the spring social, but unfortunately had to be cancelled. Actually it was going to be April, sorry. We also organise a golf event, and also we've done a pub quiz as well. So it's really it's good because there is quite a lot of dentists in the Northeast. You can also get involved in the BDA as a student, and it's good just to socialise, meet other people, and basically sort of go from there. So it's really good. And so that's me sort of from start to finish at university, from what I do now and dentistry sort of outside of the surgery. So if you've got any questions for me, just let me know.
Perfect. I think we'll take questions for you, Nicola, now, if either of our students here have anything that they want to ask.
You said before how when you were doing different specialities and different experiences, you found times where you found it challenging. I was just wondering, how did you overcome these challenges through the different experiences that you had?
Challenges as in with the different specialties?
Yeah.
So you're really well supported throughout everything. There's different levels of trainees within the dental school. So you've got dental students, and then you've got registrars, you've got consultants. So if you ever do find that you're in a challenging situation, maybe you've not managed this type of style of patient or something before, there's always somebody there that can help you out. Or I actually enjoy shadowing people. So I spent a lot of time basically if ever I didn't have a patient, or if ever I was timetabled particularly not to be doing anything, then I would be actively shadowing and learning from other people. And so that's really good for overcoming your challenges. You will be faced with challenges every single day, because it's a career which is with the public, so you're constantly going to have a challenge, but you learn from each one, and each time you do, you progress. So I often find that if something didn't particularly go as well as you wanted it to, or you maybe thought that could have gone differently, you learn so much more from that. So it's much more beneficial to kind of have these challenges, because it makes you grow. Dentistry definitely isn't sort of just a straight uphill. It's definitely got peaks and troughs, and you learn from the troughs, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
No bother.
Yasmin, is there anything that you want to ask at the moment?
Yeah, I was thinking about teaching in dentistry. I hadn't really done much research into it, but it sounds really interesting. I just wondered if you needed any extra qualifications for teaching after a dental degree.
So I did, I didn't include it in there. I did a certificate in education. It was basically a 2 or 3 day course, and it had different assignments and stuff that you could do. It was mainly remotely. There are things that you can do, like PG Cert, which is like a PG certificate in education and things. It just completely depends on the job that you would be going for and what you would need. And generally a lot of the visiting clinicians that come in, because you'll see when you get onto the clinics, you're taught not only by consultants and registrars, but there's also visiting people that come in, and it's good to have their take on things as well, because it might be slightly different. And it depends on the job role that you would go for, but you wouldn't necessarily, you don't need to do like a whole other teaching degree. It might just be additional things, which just basically helps with how you teach. But it is really good. It's something that I never considered either, but I do really enjoy.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask a question as well, Nicola, because I think, I work with dentistry students a lot, and I work with the dentists that are working with them and things, and I think portfolio careers, a little bit like what you're sort of, embarking on, is a really great opportunity. There's like loads of different places to go, and I think your involvement in the BDA, like that can get bigger as well. And I just wondered if you've got any plans, like, what else do you think you might have? Yeah, big, just any plans at all, just in case got thoughts about where else this could go, or if you think you might then go back into a specialism or something.
Yeah, my issue is I enjoy so much. So I did think about specialty training, have thought about it, but at the moment I'm not prepared to give up any part of dentistry, because I do love all of it, and I enjoy. It's nice having the teaching and also working in practice, and then also doing the postgraduate stuff like the sedation. Yeah, maybe one day, but I think dentistry is a career that can change whenever, so you can decide what you want to go into. It's not like you have to, once you've decided that you want to do something, this is going to be you for 40 years. You can constantly be changing. It doesn't matter on your age. If anything, you're going to have more experience, which actually is helpful. So I think at the moment I don't necessarily have a 5-year plan, because plans can change, and as long as I'm enjoying doing something, I'm going to carry on, and if something else comes in and I fancy it, then we'll do that as well. So yeah,
cool.
But if you ask me tomorrow, it might change.
I think that's a perfect message for our students as well. We see so many people when they come, especially if they're studying sort of dentistry or medicine, thinking, right, I'm just going to be a doctor, or I'm going to be a dentist, and think that that's it. They've hit their one goal, and it's going from student to doctor or dentist all the way up here. But there's so much sort of you can do in between that can take you in different directions.
When you graduate, you think it's over, but actually it's just kind of begun. Yeah, which is good.
So lots of decisions and things to make. We'll have time for a few more questions for Nicola at the end as well. But for the moment, I'm going to hand over to Charlotte, because even on the topic of sort of portfolio work, and that brings in a little bit of our sort of enterprise and skills. So Charlotte can tell you a little bit about herself and what we do sort of at the enterprise side of things at the career service, and how that relates to dentistry. So I'll hand over to you.
Thank you very much. I haven't got any slides, but I have got some little notes on my screen. But yeah, so hi, my name's Charlotte, and I am an enterprise advisor. So within Newcastle University Career Service, we've got a team called the Enterprise Team, and I sit in there. So what I do basically is work across the university, but I do a lot of work in the Faculty of Medical Sciences. So I work with dental students, I work with medical students, biomed, psychology and things. What we do is look at what is innovation, what is enterprise, what is entrepreneurship, and how can you get involved? How does that link to dentistry? And like what Kate just said is exactly right. You guys are coming here because you want to study dentistry and you want to be a dentist. Now, I'm not here to say, give up your day job or don't do that. What I'm here to say is, how can you improve the dental practice? How can you improve your discipline? So how can we look at innovation in dentistry, and what skills are required for you to move things forward, make changes, make things happen, basically. The other sort of half of the team that I sit in is our startup team. So if you come to university and you decide you've got, a really amazing idea, you want to change the world, you want to run your own business, you want to go and explore this, then there's lots of opportunity at Newcastle for you to be able to do that at the university. But if you just want to look at how you can be an enterprising dentist or an innovative dentist, then that's where a lot of the work that I do comes into these things. So just thought I'd share a few sort of simple examples, just so you've got some idea of what I'm talking about really in terms of innovation in dentistry, because obviously innovation it's a very much a buzzword at the moment, and in COVID-19 times, everybody seems to be innovating, and I think that's actually a really important message. Like Nicola was just saying about, you know, they've started putting webinars and things, you know, online. Now, that's not like the next big idea. It's not like nobody's ever heard of that before, but that's not something that dentist practices were doing 6 months ago. You know, it's something that they've had to respond to. So we have different levels and sort of a spectrum of innovation. So it could be you want to be the next Richard Branson of dentistry and completely change the world over here. But actually we've got incremental innovation and looking at sort of smaller steps. So it might be a case of over your 5 years, when you're out on your elective, maybe you're in a different country or a different practice, and there's something that's just really annoying and it's just hard work, and you're like, this could be easier. How can we make this easier? How can we make it cheaper? How can we make it more efficient? How can we make it safer? And any way that you can alter whatever that is, if it's a product, something tangible like a piece of equipment, or maybe it's more of a service. So example I have, you know, automated appointment systems. You know, 30, 40 years ago, that's not how it worked, and now you get text messages. So whilst that's the norm in terms of our landscape, that is innovation from where it used to be. Things like the electric toothbrush, you know, those things are moving all the time, and now we can, I don't have one, but you can get smart toothbrushes that connect to your phone. And you know, part of us think, well, of course you can get smart toothbrush, we can get nearly smart everything, but they weren't around, and at the moment they're quite expensive, and in 6 months time they'll be even cheaper because there'll be something new. So it's this sort of continuous process of looking at how are we responding to the environment, how can we make things move forwards. And I think there's other factors to think of. So maybe you're an individual who just has a certain passion, so maybe you really care about the environment, and you might find that actually the amount of waste is really off-putting for you when you're in a practice, and you might think, well, how could we look at using a different material, or why isn't this recycled? So it's just those little things. So how can you innovate on a piece of equipment to change the material to make it more sustainable? And there's a whole bigger thing that we work with students on around business models and things to explore this. But what's important, I think, for the message that we try and tell you guys as dental students is that if you want and you come up with a really cool new material, you know, give up your day job, go and do that, make your millions, we'll support you in that. But equally, if you're the ones that are spotting these opportunities and seeing these problems and coming up with ideas, you don't have to necessarily implement them or act on it. But in terms of, you know, you guys are the ones that are going to be at the coalface, as it were, of dentistry, whereas we've got the skills and tools to help you explore and look into that. So that's the whole sort of innovation in dentistry scope. We've then got, so that would be, you know, looking at our problem, coming up with a solution, maybe turning it into a business as an entrepreneurial dentist, like, you know, becoming an entrepreneur, either alongside dentistry or instead of. But equally, we talk about being an enterprising dentist. So how are you enterprising? And this is a lot more of the softer skills. So are you one of those dentists that's always looking for new opportunities, always coming up with new ideas, things that like Nicola probably does a lot, you know, the opportunities that she's found within the BDA, having these different portfolio careers and having these enterprising skills and examples of how you've used them helps you be able to move around within dentistry or be sort of between disciplines and doing these different things. And quite often identifying and exploring what it means to be an enterprising dentist and how you become an enterprising dentist can help you differentiate yourself as well within dentistry. So it's always an interesting topic because, you know, essentially you have a dentist, you go to see a dentist, might not be your favourite experience as a patient, and then you come home again. But actually we do have choice, and do you want to be known as the dentist that's like very sort of safe or very clean, or the dentist that's good with children, or the dentist that's good at explaining things? or just a dentist that's really, really friendly, because some people just want to be in and out and be done. So there's ways that we can, like, you know, if you were working with us at the uni when you're here, we'll talk about these enterprising skills and how you can use that. And then finally, one of the areas I just wanted to mention this afternoon was around self-employment. So there's lots of different ways within dentistry that you can be self-employed. You might want to run your own practice down the line. You might want to sort of be in charge of other dentists, but similarly, dentists that work within someone else's practice are often self-employed contractors. And then in addition to that, we also have, you could be a locum dentist. So you're sort of moving around dental practices and filling in gaps. So there's lots of different ways in which, I don't know the numbers, unfortunately, but I think a large majority of dentists are self-employed at some point in their career. Nicola's nodding, so she might be able to shed some light on that. And it's really important for you guys to understand that. So what's really difficult for all dental students in the UK is that you have to learn how to do an extraction, you have to learn how to do like an x-ray, etc. You don't have to learn how to run a dental practice, but actually, you know, that management, that understanding from a self-employment perspective is going to be really, really useful for you. And in this bigger picture of portfolio dental careers and how you're managing that, that's really important. So we do sessions, some of them, as I've said, some of them will be, you know, at you almost, some of them you might have to go and seek out, but there is a lot of support that we offer at Newcastle Uni for you to explore all of these things. So innovation in dentistry, being an entrepreneurial dentist, being an enterprising dentist, and being a self-employed dentist. So keep a lookout for us. You know, we sit within the careers service, and we've also got lots of really funky and exciting other extracurricular events cross faculty, so you can come along and work with other students and things. So loads of opportunities. So we sit within the careers service with the enterprise and the startup team, but all this stuff, I think it can be quite easy to forget sometimes, or let it go over your head, but actually it's really going to help you develop you to either be more employable for wherever it is you choose to go, be that inside or outside dentistry, or for you looking at these opportunities and knowing how and where to spot them. So it's really exciting. There's a lot of opportunity. So I'm looking forward to seeing you around at some point over the next 5 years or so, which is quite exciting.
So the reason that I wanted Charlotte here today is because it is such an important thing for dentists. You are at the coalface, really. You're learning, and as a student, there's things that you can do, and Nicola and sort of Charlotte here have both touched on things outside of the general sort of route. So outside of training to be a dentist and then going into general dental practice, you could be going into teaching, you could be starting your own private practice, you could be managing that more, you could be managing the locum dentists, you could be coming up with your own dental product. So it's almost making sure that when you're coming into this course, that yes, you're focused on qualifying and being a dentist, but that you're thinking about your wider university experience as well. So when you're getting involved in some of the sports that Nicola mentioned in some of those teams, and that you potentially have a think about what you can do on the enterprise side of things, or think about what you could do on the social side of things as well, making sure that you have that well-rounded experience. I'm going to move on to just a few of the questions that we've had submitted from students who couldn't make the session live today. And I've had one, Nicola, for you that touches a little bit on sort of what you mentioned with the netball team and things. One of the students has asked, sort of, when you were studying at university yourself, how did you manage to balance the time engaging with the sort of core dental studying, but also other student activities?
So Newcastle University has a lot of sports and things, which is brilliant, and other different organisations and clubs and things. And if you, the dental school understands that as much as you have to put in a lot of time and stuff with them, they are still wanting you to have their extracurricular activities, especially sporting. So if you are sort of within a sporting team, one of the Newcastle University ones, then you do get often you'd get within the timetable sort of routed, so that, because I think when I was at university, most of the sporting stuff was on a Wednesday afternoon, so there was a certain group that was kind of the sports group, because they needed a Wednesday afternoon off ideally to be able to go to those events and things. The cross faculty ones are more either on weekends or on an evening, so you still get a chance to do that. And with regards to other extracurricular things, there's plenty of things within dentistry and also within just the university as a whole that you can attend, and it won't necessarily be within the allotted time that you're meant to be sort of studying.
So how did being involved in that netball team, how did that sort of help your career in dentistry in any way? Did it teach you anything? Or
it's always something that I've enjoyed since school. I still play netball now for a adults team, I call it. But yeah, it's great because I think dentistry, when you go to university, it's not just sort of your year 9, year 10, your year 11, so you don't really mix with university, or the full 5 years all mix the students, and it's nice because the netball team, as I say, is from first years to 5th years. Everyone's there and playing together, so it's just nice to have that mixing of the years and things, and then you can always help out, and you always know someone the year above or the year below if you need any help with anything, so it's good.
Brilliant, fantastic. And I've got another question here for you as well that asks sort of how important has making contacts been to your career? So interacting with other people and getting their perspectives, things like that.
It's very, very important, yeah. As I said, not only do you learn from other people and you get their perspective, especially with dentistry, you'll have different opinions. You'll never find two people that have the same opinion, and there's no wrong decision or there's very few wrong answers. There's just different right ones, and it's really important to get other people's take on it. And it may be, okay, one time you decide to go down this path, but then actually someone else has found that this works, so you might try that, and you never get that until you hear from other people and their successes. And ultimately, especially when you're a student or when you've just graduated, you haven't got the experience, and it takes a long time to actually appreciate that. You've not got the experience, so you do need to sort of get it from other people and see, okay, if they've said that this definitely doesn't work, I don't need to do it to know that, because lots of people have told me that. So I think definitely making different contacts, especially, as I said, within Newcastle and the northeast, there is a lot of dentists, and we're all very sociable and very interconnected. There's constantly people talking between, and it's good to learn from things, stuff like Facebook groups. So there's now different Facebook groups that are set up with sort of northeast dentists. The BDA has Facebook groups. The BDA does a lot of courses and things together to mix people, and you do get a lot of good information. So yeah.
Perfect. And I suppose this is a question that both of you could have a crack at, is a lot of the students that we see on coming in through partners, for example, might not have had that much experience trying to make contacts and interacting with people sort of at different levels. So even sort of asking people or interacting with people who are maybe at stage 5 when you're coming in at stage 1, or professionals, do you have any sort of hints or tips, advice on how to sort of start creating those connections and approaching those people?
Within the university, they do things already, and I think, well, when I was at university, you had sort of a dental parent, so there was someone in the year above you who you could contact if you needed them or anything. In first year, you ended up shadowing someone in the year 3 years above you, so someone in 4th year. That's how I met my partner, from shadowing, and everyone is generally just very, very approachable. If you see someone around the dental school, or everyone will be more than happy to ask. From what I've experienced as a student and now as a teacher, people are more than happy to help out, and you do find that it becomes quite easy to make those contacts because they're accessible and everyone's friendly. You, as much as you're going into this large environment, each person is more than happy to help out, and not only the students, all of the the clinicians as well, and the teachers. You'll be given a tutor, so you can go to them if there's anything. You've got a stage tutor, you've got your own tutor, you've got your like I say, dental parent, and then you've got people that you'll mix with throughout the programme. So there's plenty of opportunity to make those contacts.
Brilliant. So very, very well supported. Lots of opportunities, and universities are a safe space to approach people. Everyone's generally on the same playing field. But sort of, Charlotte, I don't know if you wanted to mention, because I know enterprising and sort of startup is a lot of things you can look at external events. So maybe it was going to one of the BDA events, for example. Any sort of tips that you would have on how to network or make contacts at that type of setting?
Yeah, definitely. I think Nicola's advice in terms of look at what's been made available for you is really useful as well. You know, there are lots of, you know, for instance, we run a monthly networking session called Startup Connect, which is about connecting people that are interested in startup. And these things can be really daunting. You know, some people don't like networking, and networking, you know, is a skill, but it's definitely something that you will get better at. And I've been to lots of other sessions about how to be a good networker or how to get a bit more comfortable in networking. And one of the things quite often that gets mentioned is sort of, you know, don't go with an agenda, but go ready to listen to other people as well. So rather than just being like, I need help with this, you know, that's not necessarily the same as networking. It's more a case of, right, what can I offer? What can I help with as well? And, you know, as a first year student, you know, you might feel like maybe you don't have a lot to offer, but actually thinking about, you know, you guys have all got these different backgrounds, you're coming in on the partner scheme, is there something around that you can sort of support and lend with? So I think, you know, being brave, getting stuck in, and if you're interested or worried or cautious, you know, about networking, there's some really cool stuff out there at the moment around like introvert versus extrovert networking and things, and around how, you know, you don't have to be big and out there, and actually doing that listening side is just as important. But just giving it a go, and maybe finding someone to go with, you know, like, can you have a bit of a buddy system? And if you've got that element in place through the dental school already, how can you build on that and then move it into other areas and find the ones that you're comfortable with? Because in terms of networking events, you know, specific things for networking, they're not for everybody, and you might find that you prefer a more formal one or you prefer a more informal one or something. So definitely exploring it and using other things within the university as practice, so that you can, you know, go to some of these sort of workshopy things that are put on, or put yourself out there in smaller steps before you feel like all of a sudden you're networking with the big dental hotshots or whatever. So it's looking at what's going to work best for you to help you build that confidence if you don't necessarily have it at the beginning. But I think it is a really important skill, and it's just really great for you to think, and like now, like on LinkedIn, you know, there's a lot of opportunities to network online and do those steps as well. So just start to explore what's available to you.
Perfect. It's all of a case of building your confidence. They're all daunting things. Everyone's a little bit scared of them, but you can start off online. You've got opportunities in the schools to be able to practice, and then you work your way up to those sort of, like, say, big events. I suppose, Nicola, this is a bit more for you. Is there a certain skill or attribute you'd like to see students focus more on cultivating throughout their time at university, or when starting a career as a dentist? Is there anything that you've felt people have lacked or haven't spent enough time looking at?
I think a lot of this, it's a lot of the social skills that people, because obviously throughout school and then college, you've always been focused very much on achieving certain grades that you need to get into university. Whereas a lot of it is, like Charlotte was saying, you might want to be the sort of a friendly dentist or someone who's good with children, and a lot of it is the social skills that you develop throughout dental school. So I think social skills, one, being open-minded, and also realizing that, like I say, that there's not necessarily, unless certain things, but there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer, there's just different ones. And I think also self-reflection is something really good, and some people might say, oh well, I can't reflect, I can't do this, but actually you do it without realizing, and some people reflect differently. So you might not want to write down a log or something, but you might just see a patient or do something and think, okay, this went well, this went not so well, how can I improve to make it different next time? And I think it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be reflection, it doesn't have to be recorded, but I think that's one thing that sometimes dental students may lack. They want, because they're used to with school, something's written down, if I follow this I will get this grade. But actually it's not like that. You can try and follow something, but actually there'll be different bumps in the road, and as long as you can then approach and adjust to those, then you'll get a good result. So I think definitely good social skills, and like I say, being more amenable to change and things like that.
Luckily enough, university is the perfect place to learn those things. You get thrown in with a whole new bunch of people, so you pick up how to communicate with different people quite quickly, and you'll get taught that as part of your dental course as well, because you're interacting with patients on usually a daily basis, and like you say, you're going to get thrown new concepts, so you have to be open-minded, and you'll start developing that. Self-reflection is something that any sort of graduate employer is looking for, whether it's something that you're doing to sort of support you in dentistry, or whether it's sort of external. That being able to look at what you're doing and reflect on it and think about how you can improve it, or what you could have done sort of slightly differently, is always a really good skill to just start practicing. We've got one final question. We'll wrap it up, and this is something that we're asking every guest who's been with us on all 23 of the strands, and we're going to see what sort of advice that you would offer to the partner students. So Nicola, I'll start with you. Considering your time at university, at Newcastle University, in your own career, what's the one bit of main advice that you would like to share with the partner students? Quite a big question.
I would say, from my own experience as well, possibly always look forward. So because especially coming from one of the things when I was in first year, you're used to being those really, really high achievers, and then you're put in with all high achievers, and you might think, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that right. But you shouldn't ever be negative on yourself. Just always look forward, always look to the next thing. So I think, and so you should never be comparing yourself. Something that because I'm really one that's guilty for that, and my partner says you should never compare yourself to other people. You should compare yourself to yourself 6 months ago, and as long as you've come on from 6 months ago, then you're winning, really. So always look forward, and like I say, don't compare yourself to other people, and just you do you, and I'm sure you'll do brilliantly.
I really like that. I've not heard that before, the compare yourself to yourself 6 months ago. I think that's a really good concept to sort of to know and to start to use and practice. Charlotte, you and sort of considering your own journey throughout university, I know it's a slightly different one, not necessarily dental focused, but business focused. Is there any bits of advice that you would, or any one bit of advice you would offer the partner students coming into university now?
Yeah, I think the first thing that came into my head then was just get involved. Get involved in your course, get involved in what you've gone to Newcastle Uni to do, but get involved in everything else. It's going to be different this time coming forward, but there's no less opportunities available to you, come September. Extracurricular things that can support you in your discipline, and the more you get involved and test out and see, the more you work out what you do or don't want to do. And you might find out that certain elements of dentistry, like Nicola, the teacher, you just love it, that's what you're interested in, but other bits you don't, and you won't know unless you try. So just get involved and do as much as you can and make the most of that, I think.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, well, we'll wrap it up and we'll leave it there. But thank you very much for all joining us today. Thank you for tuning in to this recording of the Partners 2020 Ask the Expert session. We hope you found the discussion and the presentations from our guests useful and insightful. Remember to stay up to date with further advice from alumni and industry professionals. Subscribe to our Newcastle University Career Service YouTube channel, and you can follow us on our social media channels at NCL Careers on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. We hope to see you in September. Good luck and take care.